What's going on? Welcome to Tech with Sean, and today we're taking a look at the very best flash cart you can get right now for the Super Nintendo. That's the FXPAK Pro from Krikzz. Alright, now, Krikzz has been around for a while making Everdrives for different systems, and they've even made, some previous ones for the Super Nintendo. I believe you can still get the Super Everdrive X5 or something, as well as you'll see the SD2SNES Pro online. But earlier this year, because of a trademark conflict, they rebranded the SD2SNES Pro as the FXPAK Pro. So if you're looking around online, this is the newest version of the official cart from Krikzz. So what the FXPAK Pro does differently from Krikzz's cheaper Super Everdrives is that it has support for almost all of the special chip games. It can play all of the DSP chip games as well as the FX chip games, and it can even run things like the MSU1 chip and other things that can run enhanced games that the Super Nintendo itself could never run. Having the full FX chip support as well as the MSU is really what's going to make this cart worth spending the extra money over something like the Super Everdrive. It ships with the same front end as the SD2SNES Pro, but you can go on the website and download one of a bunch of different themes and make it look however you want. Now, Krikzz uses high quality shells on their cartridges, so this doesn't feel cheap. It feels basically like a real Super Famicom cartridge. And they have a really beefy PCB inside that's well made. It's like a thick PCB, it has all types of chips on it. There's an easily replaceable battery. It's really just all around a high quality product. If you want to get in there and tinker around, you're going to need a T6 security bit to open the cartridge. It doesn't use the regular security bit that other Super Nintendo cartridges do. Depending where you order from, you can get the FXPAK Pro in this Super Famicom style version cartridge or the North American shell. I would recommend getting the Super Famicom version because it will fit all regions Super Nintendo and Super Famicom systems. Even though this looks like a Japanese cartridge, because it has the slots in the back, it's going to fit into any Super Nintendo system no problem. Alright, well that's enough technical details. Now let's fire up some games and see what this thing can really do. We're going to be running these on a one-chip Super Nintendo over S-Video going to a Toshiba CRT TV. You're not going to have any problems loading up regular games or imports on this, but one thing it's really good for is being able to play the translations of games that we never got on the original hardware. Another big selling point of the FXPAK Pro is the MSU1 chip support. With that, we're going to be able to run enhanced versions of games that the Super Nintendo never could. For an example, let's check out the regular version of Link to the Past, and then we'll check out the opening of the MSU1 enhanced version, and you can see how big of a difference it really is. Seeing this really makes you wonder what the system could have been like that fell through when Sony and Nintendo were supposed to collaborate on the first PlayStation type device. Alright, well, that's the FXPAK Pro. You know, if you're in the market for a flash cart, if you really want something basic, you just want to get gaming and play some games, you can cheap out and buy the Super Everdrive. But really, if you're spending the money to get a real flash cart, you might as well get this thing. I mean, do you want to play Mario Kart? Do you want to play Pilot Wings? Do you want to feel like hampered or left back, or like, oh, I should have spent the extra 40%, you know, like less than the price of like Chrono Trigger or something to be able to play all these games and experimental stuff? I think it's totally worth it. Most people that are looking at these are already enthusiasts, I would say. Your average person wanting to like relive their nostalgia is gonna go get, you know, a cheap either Super Nintendo Classic, a knockoff, just play emulators on their computer, or just get a system and like the 3 games they had when they were a kid. If you're into looking at one of these things, you're probably really into gaming, and so I think it's worth it to go all out, get the high-end one, and be able to play all the stuff that people are talking about on the forums. It's also probably worth it to get the official cartridge. There are some knockoff ones, like I actually got kind of scammed on Amazon. Somebody had listed something as a Krikzz cart, but it was actually like the Chinese clone version. And I did a video on that and I returned it. It basically worked about the same. But I would say if you're gonna spend over $100 on it, just pony up, get the name brand one. It's not gonna really damage your system, and you know that it's gonna have the support and backing that you want for that kind of investment. All in all though, I think it's a really good product. I mean, price-wise, it's a couple $100, but as far as Super Nintendo carts go, that's really, you could buy a couple of games or even one game and be up to that pretty easily. If you're into collecting because you want to have the physical carts, this is not going to replace that in any way. But if you're just wanting to experience the full breadth of the Super Nintendo Super Famicom library, and you don't want to drop the money on Hagane or Earthbound or Chrono Trigger or Soul Blazer or, you know, Star Fox Super Weekend or whatever, you know, you can still experience them. You're not going to actually have the cart to put on your shelf, but if you just want to play it on the original hardware and see what it's like, that's what these things are for. So I give this thing a thumbs up. You know, if you're in the market for a flash cart, it's a pretty specific product, and they're somewhat expensive if you want a good one, so just go all out, get the FXPAK Pro, and call it a day. So what do you think about the FXPAK Pro? Drop a comment down below and let me know. If you liked this, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.